metric tons of carbon dioxide per year. That's negligible, not even a dot. But we're still the 5th or 6th most vulnerable country in the world. We're vulnerable because we're lying like a valley at the footsteps of the Himalayas. And if the climate changes, we get washed away. And you're seeing a lot of flooding, you're seeing a lot of climate change, and you're seeing a lot of detrimental impact of this climate change. So our third objective is to make sure that whatever we do it in a sustainable manner. So we have 3 objectives: access, affordability, and sustainability, in exactly the same descending order. Why do I say descending order? Because countries that don't have issues of affordability and countries that don't have issues of access only have issues of sustainability. So the language that they speak is very different from the language that we speak. For them, the romantic idea is sustainable energy. For us, we have to take care of our people, supply energy, make it affordable, and make it sustainable in the same descending order. So those are our objectives for our energy strategy. We've built this energy strategy based upon 5 pillars. Number 1, indigenization. Number 2, optimization. Number 3, electrification. Number 4, liberalization. And number 5, innovation. So 5 pillars. 5 pillars which are going to give us access, affordability, and sustainability. What do these pillars mean? In terms of indigenization, which is the first pillar, first thing that we are doing is enhancing domestic production. And as you know, we have concessions that we've put out for domestic, for our on-land assets that we put out for bidding. And we are in the process right now of putting out offshore assets. We would like to produce energy in-house as much as possible. We are also have 2 policies right now, one for greenfield refineries and the other for brownfield refineries. We're improving our existing refineries in making them compliant with global standards, Euro 5 standards. We are also in the process of negotiating with global investors for a large 350 million barrel oil refinery. Why are we doing this? Because we want to indigenize. We want to produce crude as much as possible. We want to produce gas as much as possible. And we also want to refine it in-house so that we don't have to pay the premium for the refined petroleum products. And this way, we'll indigenize our energy. But how are we going to indigenize our energy in the long run? When you walk out on the street, what do you find? Heat. Where does it come from? Sun. So what do we have? Sun. Why would we not produce energy from sun? That's a question that baffles each one of us. So we have sun with such high radiation that the biggest chunk of indigenization over the next 10 years is going to come from solar energy. And many countries don't have this facility. But in our case, in the case of Pakistan, sun and wind are counter-cyclical. Our sun shines during the day, and we have a gusty wind through the corridors, particularly in Sindh, during the night. So if we come up with a hybrid solution of wind and sun, all of a sudden our plant factor or our availability goes up exponentially. So our third anchor for indigenization is basically to pull all guns blazing, move all guns blazing towards solar and renewable energy. So these 3 big ticket items, indigenization through domestic production, through domestic refinery, and solar, a hybrid, a combination of solar and wind energy, should give you confidence that we're going to indigenize a whole lot of our energy requirements. The second pillar that we have is optimization. What does optimization mean? Basically, we have a lot of energy loss, We have a lot of energy loss at our distribution companies. We also have an equal amount of energy loss in the way of UFG, which is unaccounted for gas, in the way of losses with our SWE companies. So we right now have a strategy through which we are going to contain these losses and optimize the system. We're in the process of privatizing our distribution companies, DISCOs, you guys know about it. And simultaneously we are preparing and corporatizing our distribution companies, gas distribution companies. The equivalent of a transformer in gas sector is TBS, town-based metering system. So right now, we are putting meters at every TBS, which means we are putting a meter at anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 households. There's the equivalent of a transformer from where all of the gas goes. We have basically put meters there. We're breaking down the profit and loss statement at the TBS level. And an officer is going to be appointed who's going to give us the profit and loss statement for 3,000 households. He is or she is going to be responsible for fixing the lines, for fixing the theft, for enhancing the collections, and if they're not able to do that, they'll be removed. Consequently, we are very hopeful. We're already on a declining trend in terms of our losses, but we are very hopeful that moving forward in less than a year would show remarkable improvement in these losses. So if we improve on the losses of our distribution companies, we improve on the losses of our gas companies, we're going to optimize the system and create enormous value. That's our strategy. Simultaneously, we're trying to do WACOG. We're trying to put all of the gases together rather than having very expensive LNG. We're going to get rid of this distinction between LNG and non-LNG. Gas molecule is gas molecule, and there's some cost to that gas molecule. So we're going to put all our house in order and understand what the cost of that gas molecule is, and then optimize the system while protecting the poor. We are committed to protecting the poor, and that is the first and the paramount order, and we'd like you to hold us accountable to that. So these are our strategies for optimization. Our third idea is electrification. The third pillar is electrification. Look, you have to understand that just the way wind and sun are counter-cyclical, gas and electricity are counter-cyclical. In winters, we need gas for home heating and space heating and water heating. And in summers, we need air conditioning. So we have a surge of demand of electricity during the summers, and we have a surge of gas demand during the winters. When we produce electricity, 30,000 megawatts during the summers, and we're unable to use it in the winters when it falls to 10,000 megawatts, what do? We end up paying capacity. And everyone asks this question about IPPs and capacity. So it's solvable, no? If during the winter, all of the gas heating and all of the space and water heating is converted to electricity by providing lower cost electricity, the utilization of electricity would move from 10,000 megawatts to 25,000 megawatts. The capacity payments would collapse, the cost of electricity would come down, and it would become a self-reinforcing cycle. More electricity we use during the winter, less capacity we pay, more electricity is produced, lower cost electricity is produced, lower the cost of electricity goes, more people use it during the winters. So through this balancing act, over a period of time, we are going to clear up the system through electrification. That is our strategy. And in that, we are coming up with several ideas in terms of how to allocate low-cost gas for production of low-cost electricity so that people use it more during the winters, so that the capacity payments go down, so that the cost of electricity goes down, and so on and so forth. So the system would clear out. So this is our strategy for electrification. What we are also going to do to enhance the demand for electricity so that we don't pay capacity is electrical vehicles. How much complicated can that be? The entire world is producing EVs. And all of these two-wheelers and three-wheelers that you see on the streets, which are also a cause of pollution, very big cause of pollution. If all of them convert to electricity, electric vehicles, and you've seen those in other parts of the world where they bring in the battery, they plop the battery into your bike or into your three-wheeler, and off you go. And if all of these gas stations convert to those two-wheeler stations where you can get batteries, or three-wheelers where you can get batteries, and some of the affluent people, most of which are in this room right now, can also have electric cars. We do that. The demand of electricity goes up. The demand of electricity goes up. This difference between peak and low goes down. The difference goes down, the capacity payment goes down, the capacity payment goes down, the cost of electricity goes down, the cost of electricity goes down, energy becomes sustainable. That's our strategy that we are calling electrification. Our final strategy, not final, I'll bore you more, is liberalization. We're trying to conceive a new marketplace. We're saying, well, this government as the sole buyer, and sometimes government as the producer, and most often government as the regulator. What kind of nonsense is this? Why can't we conceive another marketplace? So we are right now in the process of conceiving an alternative marketplace. For example, just to give you an example, if SUI companies only were the transportation companies, only the pipe companies, and you in Lahore or Islamabad or Pindi or Sahiwal or Tandu Adam or Hyderabad could build up your own distribution companies through competition,